You choose not to, stay away from certain vices and it's all your own doing.
But can you imagine how, you're finding this frustrating?
I swear to God, I'm saying on camera, one of the most frustrating things to hear white Westerners who are talking about legitimate grievances that they must have. Loss of their identity, loss of their culture, not being prioritized when it comes to state services, whereas migrants and others, I hear all of these things. Oh, they're replacing, they're breeding, and they'll post pictures of sisters, Muslim women coming from job centers and all kind of madness. But you're replacing yourself. You're choosing not to have children. You're choosing to replace children with dogs. You're choosing not. You're doing this yourself. You're choosing not to commit to Christianity.
I know. You guys haven't broken into our country.
No, we haven't.
Right? You've come in, and look, this is the annoying thing for me.
Derelict churches. Derelict churches. If a Muslim community buys a derelict church, why are you angry at the Muslim for buying the derelict church? Surely the question is for you to ask, why is that church derelict in the first place?
Yeah, but for the... There's so many problems in the West that are being accelerated by our own people. I have so much to say about that. I mean, it's a separate podcast, but I have so much to say about it. But it does anger me. Start looking inward. What can you do as a person to better your society? But it's what you came back to earlier, like the lack of commitment. This part of the United Kingdom, Northern Ireland, is the only place where I see a commitment that I've never seen on the mainland.
Agreed. It is different. Belfast specific and Northern Ireland is very different.
Like the involvement in the bands, in the lodges. Them boys in the bands, they're rehearsing at least once a week. They march through the streets for like 6 to 9 months of the year. They're marching every single week. This is a huge commitment. Imagine telling an Englishman, and I mean this with no disrespect because I'm English, I love white British men, I'm not knocking them. But I don't know many Englishmen that would say they can devote that much time to something. But they do it in Northern Ireland because it's a tribal thing. And this is where we need to get back to. But because we've lost the tribal thing, certainly in mainland UK, it's easy to point the finger and blame everything on you guys. You guys didn't force your way here. You didn't erect those mosques by stealth. You were told, yes, you're allowed to have that as a mosque.
Yes.
Yes, you're allowed to have that as a Sharia court. Yes, you're allowed to we're going to change the menu in the schools to halal meat. This has all been permitted by the government, and with all due respect,
for all faiths.
But with all due respect, I didn't see the British people rising up and saying, no, we're not having this. They've let it happen, and they're just sitting there moaning, oh, this is bad. Do something. There was 2,300 girls groomed and raped in Telford, and they said it was predominantly Pakistani Muslim men. I went there and I held a rally. There were about 400 or 500 people at the rally. There were 2,300 girls. That means 2,300 mums, dads, nan, granddad, auntie, uncle, cousin, godparents. Why wasn't the whole place just erupting? People, even when it's their own children, people don't care. So I do see that the whole destruction and the downfall of the West, it's like we're piling this onto ourselves and we're doing this lazy thing. But it's again, it all goes back to this agenda that the Zionists have created, this agenda, and they've put certain figureheads at the front of it, like Tommy and those people, to point at you guys and say, you're the problem. I've seen Tommy Robinson say he hasn't got a problem with multiculturalism. He hasn't got a problem with homosexuality. He hasn't got a problem. He actually said he would get every single woman from Saudi Arabia. There's 13.5 million women in Saudi Arabia. He'd get every single one of them and move them to Britain. His problem is with Islam. He wants to bring all the women here so they don't have to live under oppressive Islam.
Oh, nice of him.
This crazy narrative has been created by the Zionists because they have to make us completely focused on what you guys are doing. Meanwhile, we're not focusing on ourselves, and we certainly aren't focusing on them in the background, pulling our strings like puppets. And all I'm seeing is you building these communities that are flourishing in terms of mosques going up, babies being born, marriages, converts, covering, all that. yeah, all that stuff that you guys have every right to be proud of achieving.
Mm-hmm.
I want my people to come back to that. But we're so wrapped up in this culture of, oh, look at what you're taking from me.
But you think the prevention of your people doing that, or their ability to do that, is part of that wider agenda, yeah?
Well, yeah, the indoctrination of people. Our focus must remain on you. Our focus must remain on Islam, always. That's why there is such a concerted effort. Look at what's going on in the UK at the moment. The government, at government level, they are reinforcing this narrative that, Islamic terrorism. But the effort, when he gave his speech, Rishi Sunak said, Islamic terrorism and right-wing extremism, they're pushing this narrative. It's like going back in time. It's like going back 10 years. 10 years ago, they were locking me up for speaking out against the Islamification of the UK, which was being facilitated by the government. My main beef, even back then, wasn't with you guys. It's with my government that are doing this, the Zionist-controlled government. So they've got everybody's mind set on you guys. And I've watched the narrative turn like that. From October the 7th, I watched the narrative in the mainstream media. Wherever they can drop the word Muslim or Islam, they're dropping it.
Yep.
If they can drop in about white extremism, like right-wing extremism, they're doing that as well, because they want to ostracize the real right-wing, which is a handful of us, who are actually, I think, speaking sense and saying, you know what, these people are the ones we should be focused on. It's the Zionists that are controlling all of this. They need to destroy our narrative, call us crackpots. Same thing that is playing out. Tommy Robinson's fueling this, they're all fueling this, calling us crazy, these crazy anti-Semites. No, we just don't believe that babies should be blown up. We don't believe that people should be ethnically cleansed from their occupied lands. So that's what's preventing everybody, is this concerted effort that's been going on for decades now to brainwash all the Brits to think that Islam is the curse on the earth. I see this on social media all the time. People are like, Jayda, you know what, I've always agreed with you, but they're calling me Jihadi Jayda.
Yeah, I see that now.
She's calling me Jihadi Jayda because I'm, and they're calling me Jihadi Jayda because I'm saying that I think it's desperately terrible that Muslim Palestinians are being slaughtered and starved to death. These are war crimes. Mm-hmm. And they're so angered by this. I don't even know how I had these people following me for 10 years. I didn't know that I had people like that following me, but that's who not all of them, but that's who some of them are. Like genocidal supporting maniacs, just obsessed with you guys. But it's not their fault. I'm trying to be very gracious with them as a Christian. And I know it's probably difficult for you to do this because you're on the other end of it. But as a Christian, I'm trying to be very gracious with them because I know that they've been brainwashed into believing that if Islam just went away, everything would be fine. What level of nonsense is this? I do want you guys to go to your homeland.
Yeah, I don't think if Islam and Muslims, well, forget about Islam, I don't think if Muslims, left Britain or Western Europe en masse, that you're going to have this white utopia, Christian utopia that you think you're going to have. It's not going to happen because the issues are so deep-rooted. It's generational now. It's going to take, I don't know, I'm talking hypothetically. How do you undo? How do you unbrainwash? How do you wash the brain of what's been indoctrinated for the best part of 100 years? There's a lot of work to be doing. I think
Christian nationalism, that's how.
Yeah?
Yeah, that's how.
You think that's the answer?
Has to be. Absolutely.
Because I'm telling you, if the more people that turn away from Christianity, they're going to either come to Islam or they're going to come to atheism.
Yeah.
That's the only two outlets that they're going to come to.
Yeah.
So even like those who preach, the Muslim preachers who preach, they goes, main contention in converting isn't Christians, it's atheists. Ultimately, the white Westerner is left with two options, right? This kind of hedonistic atheism, all grounded on individualism, looking after for yourself, care for yourself, I. Mm-hmm. And then you got Islam, which, I'll be honest with you, if you compare it to Christianity of today, it's got a lot more to offer on the marketplace in terms of answers for man, life and universe, the do's, the don'ts, the structure, the identity, the belonging, the tribe.
And it doesn't actually. It doesn't. Respectfully, I'm not saying that it doesn't have it. It has all of that.
I'm saying in the absence of a Christianity which presents itself.
This is the problem, is that biblical Christianity